Welcome back, everyone, to Seahawk Central News, your source for the latest in local news and entertainment. I'm Trevor Bray.
And I'm Anna Phillips. Don't forget, you can check out tealtv.org to keep up with us throughout the school year. Seahawk Central News airs every Monday through Thursday.
This week, we'll get an inside peek at this year's Cucaloris and a special interviewee with author-activist Cleve Jones.
Don't forget to head over to the sports desk with Trey Owings and the rest of the sports team on the half hour.
Stay tuned because Seahawk Central News starts right now. Stop, squat, and pull. That is what UNCW fraternity Pi Kappa Alpha did on Sunday when they hosted their annual fire truck pull. Fraternity members and fire officials could not have asked for a bigger turnout with nearly 1,000 participants throughout the week. Groups of 10 people competed to pull a fire truck 80 yards with only the use of a rope to aid their efforts. The event was hosted to raise funds for the Wilmington Fallen Firefighters Memorial, which honors those who lost their lives in the line of duty. Volunteers gave nearly $5,000 to showcase their gratitude.
I'm here today at Phi Kappa Alpha's Fireman's Challenge Fire Truck Pull event, benefiting the Fallen Firefighters Memorial here in Wilmington. Today, over 10 separate teams have joined to participate in the pull and give back to their community.
The proceeds are going to go towards the construction of the Fallen Firefighters Memorial that's going to be located at Station 2 on Oleander. Right now they're in the process of trying to raise funds to complete it, and there's been 7 firefighters from the city of Wilmington that has lost their life in the line of duty, and the proceeds are going to go towards building that memorial for them.
Well, the event got started last year when I actually started it. Other Pike chapters around the country do it, and so we wanted to bring it here to Wilmington because we have such a good fire department relationship here. So we decided to partner up with them and raise money for them.
This was started actually a couple of years ago. We were able to get a piece of steel from the World Trade Center, and once we got that, the City Council approved us to build a firefighters memorial at Station 2 over at MP Park. So it's been about a year and a half now that we've been planning and going forward with the fundraising efforts.
We were supposed to have this pull 2 weeks ago, but it got pushed back to today, which is fine. We have great support right now. I'm looking at about 200 people here.
That's great.
Yeah.
Wow.
We're just pumped about all the support all the sororities have shown. Last year we did this a similar event just with the truck pull without having all the events leading up to it throughout the week. And we've just been really proud to have all the sororities want to come to our stuff and support us, and we've got rugby out here today too.
That's great.
And we're pumped to have them out here as well.
As a fraternity, we don't just care about stuff that goes on in UNCW. We're more of a national organization. We care about the community, and especially the community of Wilmington.
It's always great to see young people coming out and contributing to their community, and that was definitely reflected in today's Fireman Challenge event. If you haven't already, you should consider coming out next year and supporting the great cause. I'm Maki Suzuki for Seahawk Central News, Teal TV.
A cleaner Wrightsville beach for all was decided upon last Tuesday. Voters took to the polls and passed a ban against smoking on the beach that will go into effect in the spring. The ban has been discussed for the past several years but has repeatedly been voted down by the City Council. Unlike the previous 3-2 votes against the ban, this time it passed with a 2-1 vote. Wrightsville Beach is the first in North Carolina to pass such a ban.
The Pulitzer Prize-winning play, Angels in America Part 1, Millennium Approaches, debuted on campus November 8th. Aside from winning the biggest prize in journalism, author Tony Kushner's work won 5 Golden Globes and 11 Emmys when HBO created a mini-series based off the play. The plotline starts in 1985 when Pryor Walter, a homosexual who battles with AIDS, struggles with the repressive politics in the late 20th century. The play ran throughout the weekend, and on Monday, Cleve Jones, the founder of the San Francisco AIDS Foundation, lectured in the Bernie Center on how to make a difference. Both events were a success with a large audience. In this week's Talk on the Walk, Seahawk Central News reporter Aaron Barnett wants to know how students feel about the upcoming legislation prohibiting bicycles from Chancellor's Walk.
Hey, I'm Aaron Barnett with Teal TV Talk on the Walk, here to talk to students about the possible ban of wheels on Chancellor's Walk.
It sounds pretty silly. I mean, Yeah, I wouldn't really support that because it would take longer to get to the classes. And
I don't think it's necessary. I think it would be a huge inconvenience, especially for people who don't have cars. And I think people just need to be more careful instead of having to need a ban on wheels altogether.
I think the ban's kind of stupid. You know, I have a hard enough time getting to class as is, riding my bike up and down Chancellor's, and I feel like we're all adults here. We can, watch out and pay attention. The majority of us drive down the road every day, and, you got to watch there just the same.
I feel like I don't like how people crash into each other. They need to be more careful when they're longboarding or biking, but to take away our ability to get to class quickly is no fair, because I like to get up 2 minutes before class, so we should be allowed to do it, but there should be some way for us to not hurt each other.
Yeah.
How about you, Lauren?
I feel pretty much the same way, so I'm just gonna stick with that.
What possible solutions do you propose?
Lanes maybe, but that would make it awkward getting to the buildings on either side.
Maybe just have like a one way on one side and the other way on the other, instead of the zooming in between each other.
All wheels?
What? Apparently.
Oh man. Well, it would make it a little tougher to get to class sometimes.
Yeah.
I know it's pretty busy already, but
it would definitely make it harder to go from landing Trask in under
Yeah.
20 minutes.
True.
I guess it might prevent some accidents, but I don't think it would help out, that situation too much. So
I think it would cause more problems than it would solve.
I don't support it. I think it's a really easy way to get around. I understand that there's a lot of people, a lot of traffic on Chancellor's, but as long as people know how to walk in a straight line, I think it's pretty easy for people to stay out of each other's way.
After speaking with students, it seems that most are willing to overlook the safety concerns attached to biking and boarding on Chancellor's Walk so they can get to school on time. This is Aaron Barnett. Back to you at Seahawk Central News, TLTV.
Hi Seahawks, and welcome back post-election for the latest in political news. I'm your host, Jessica Ferrer. It's over. The negative ads, tight poll results, and debates were all put to rest on November 6th as the country re-elected President Barack Obama for 4 more years. So, what's in store now? USA Today reported that reducing the deficit, overhauling the tax code, revising immigration laws, and reducing the nation's dependence on foreign oil would take priority in the next 4 years. Long poll lines weren't just to vote for the next president. Local officials were elected as well, and North Carolina became a red state, electing a majority of Republicans into office. Pat McCrory was elected governor and became the first Republican governor in North Carolina in the last 20 years. Students had their voices heard on Election Day at the 10 Letters Lunch in Wagner Hall. The lunch was inspired by this year's common reading book, 10 Letters, The Stories Americans Tell Their President by Eli Saslow. I had the chance to attend the event and speak to a student who had her letter featured.
What would you write about to Chancellor Miller? Expanding Randall Library, the safety of Chancellor's Walk, or maybe you would just say, thank you.
Dear Chancellor Miller.
Allison Nguyen was one of the 10 students who wrote a teal letter to the Chancellor and received a response. The book highlights 10 letters from everyday Americans to President Obama and his responses. Allison wrote about the positives of UNCW.
I tried to keep it positive. I knew that there was going to be a lot of people who would just kind of come at him and just say probably something really short and just something that they didn't like and that they just wanted to change. And instead of focusing on the bad, I wanted to focus on just positive things of how I felt since I've started college.
10 tables were set up at the lunch to represent the chapters of the book. SGA President Keith Frazier represented Chapter 2, which featured a student leader.
I think it was important for this letter to be in the book because participation on all forms of government, whether that's school participation, local, state, and federal government, is extremely important. And I think in an election year, students need to participate in government.
Chancellor Miller was also at the lunch and said that he read many letters before he narrowed it down to the final 10. He picked a diverse group of letters to represent the student voice.
Most of the people writing letters had concerns that we knew about or had some praise for good programs and good initiatives on campus. I think the thing that really stood out to me was how thoughtful they were and how caring they were about what they said, and there's a lot of love for the university there. And they obviously read the book, which is good, a good sign.
In an election year, the voice of the people is important. Allison talked about how having her letter read inspired her on a bigger scale.
I want to be like in leadership roles, so I feel like that's kind of like what made me be more aggressive in my letter was, things need to be done, and I want to like get into a position where I like have the power to change things and make it better.
Sometimes all it takes is a little recognition to cause motivation.
Supporters of a baseball stadium in Wilmington just couldn't bring it home as the community voted against the building of a city-funded stadium. 70% of voters said no to the referendum that would have been used to build the stadium and would have hosted an Atlanta Braves minor league team. WHQR reported that Mayor Bill Saffo said that baseball is a dead issue for the city and there are no plans to revive it. In addition to saying no to the stadium, a smoking ban on Wrightsville Beach was passed. Thanks again for joining me to get your political fix. From DC to the Dub, I'm Jessica Ferrer.
I have a joke for you today, Trevor. Why did the turkey cross the road?
I don't know, Anna. Why?
To get out of the way of Wags giving.
Did you make that up?
I sure did. But I'm not joking about Wags giving. It came early this year on Wednesday, November 14th in UNCW's Wagner Hall. 3,500 students were expected to eat the 1,700 pounds of turkey, 1,000 pounds of mashed potatoes, 100 gallons of gravy, and much more. The grand feast lasted from 4 to 9 p.m. In addition to students in attendance, the event was also open to locals.
MBA week for the Cameron School of Business came to a close today. Graduate students experienced 4 days of lectures, hand-on projects, and discussion panels. One of the most memorable moments of the week included a jail and bail session. Current students, faculty, staff, and other participants purchased a fictitious warrant for a faculty member's arrest. A mock court was held in the CIS building to give students a taste of a real-life scenario. Cameron's Professional Master of Business Administration program ranks first on a national list compiled by U.S. News and World Report that measures the average debt load among MBA program graduates.
In other news, our own producer, Janae Randall, got the chance to catch up with AIDS activist Cleve Jones on Monday night. Jones is the creator of the AIDS Memorial Quilt and regularly lectures The Power You Have to Make a Difference. Let's see what Janae got for us.
Hi, I'm Janae Randall, and I'm here to speak with human rights activist Cleve Jones as he prepares to deliver his lecture titled The Power You Have to Make a Difference to UNCW students.
Thank you, Cleve, for joining me. Now, what was it like for you to live and experience the initial AIDS recognition era?
Well, at the beginning, of course, it was horrendous. It was horrible. In my immediate neighborhood, by the fall of 1985, over 1,000 of my neighbors had passed away as a result of the epidemic. And during those years, of course, there was no government response. There was a great deal of hostility and confusion and fear. But in my neighborhood, we were losing our friends and neighbors at the rate of about 2,000 a year for over a decade. So it was a very difficult time.
And from about 3 decades ago to now, how do you feel the AIDS mentality has changed?
Well, you know, at the very beginning of the epidemic, we made a terrible mistake. It was a stupid mistake, it was an unscientific mistake, and it was a bigoted mistake. We labeled this as a gay disease. And the consequence of that is that today we look at tens of millions of heterosexual men and women and their children who've been affected by this or killed by this. And it's because we failed. When we had an opportunity in the earliest days of the pandemic to halt it, we didn't do it because we didn't care about the gay people and then later the black people who were being infected. So even today, this stigma affects our ability to respond in a way that is both scientific and compassionate.
How had your friendship with the late politician and gay rights activist Harvey Milk, how has that helped to shape or affect your current activism?
Well, I learned a lot from Harvey. When I first got to San Francisco, to be honest with you, I was pretty heterophobic. I didn't like straight people. I was afraid of straight people. I'd experienced too much violence at the hands of straight people. And I think it's a human trait that we tend to be more comfortable with people that look like us, that have the same background. And then I met Harvey, who was this kind of crazy Jewish guy from New York who completely won the heart of San Francisco. He didn't just win an election, he won the heart of the city. And I campaigned with him, and we went to the union halls and the senior centers and stood on corners and bus stops in every kind of neighborhood that exists in our city. And I saw how fearless he was and how much he loved people. And I think that helped.
Wonderful. So you served pretty much as a leader for you throughout this entire.
And a role model.
A role model. Wonderful. Now for tonight's lecture, what message do you hope to send across to students here at UNCW?
Well, I'm going to talk about a whole bunch of issues. But I think mostly what I want young people to know is that they're not powerless, that the decisions and choices they make in their lives matter, that they can change the future, and that our country is now changing very rapidly. But regardless of people's race or background or political ideology or faith or sexual orientation, everyone can make a difference. And in my view, it starts by crossing those barriers and boundaries that we create to divide each other from each other. So that's what I'm about.
Well, thank you so much for speaking with us, and I'm sure that your lecture tonight will be sure to make a difference in everyone's lives. Thank you.
Although Jones's AIDS memorial quilt will only be on display in the Warwick Center lobby from November 8th through 15th, it is imperative for everyone to remain conscious and aware of this issue that continues to be a battle. I'm Janae Randall for Seahawk Central News, TLTV. Back to you.
Veterans Day is an emotional time for many people in our country. UNCW students gathered at the amphitheater on November 9th for an annual Veterans Day ceremony honoring all those who have or are serving in our armed forces. The ceremony included keynote speaker Lieutenant Colonel Nicholas Davis of the Wounded Warrior Battalion, as well as UNCW students who told personal accounts of how the sacrifice of soldiers has impacted them. This was followed by a moment of silence and live playing of the national anthem.
This week in Critics on Campus, Chris Vickery and Aaron Barnett shared their take on the two movies, Skyfall and Wreck-It Ralph. Chris, take it away.
Thanks, Trevor. Welcome to Critics on Campus. I'm Chris Vickery alongside Aaron Barnett. Aaron, as always, we've got two movies for Critics on Campus this week. The first of which is the new 007 movie, Skyfall, which follows James Bond through a near-death experience, and then as he comes back up and deals with some pretty shadowy pasts of MI6 and M and all that stuff as a rogue agent kind of comes back and wreaks havoc on all the machinery. And it's a pretty exciting action piece, especially for a Bond film. What did you think of that one?
Well, I was really excited about this movie. Sam Mendes is one of my favorite directors. I loved American Beauty. And I thought he did great. He took the Bond story and he drove it home with story, with character development, and that was the driving force behind it. And the film itself it played on the classic Bond stuff that we all love. We all can recognize the music, flare-ups, and the beautiful women. The action was good, but it still kind of held on to the same old stuff that we see in action movies today to some extent.
Yeah. I mean, overall, this was a really exciting Bond piece all around, and it also had some beautiful imagery. There's a speech in there, a monologue about rats, and so much of it takes place in sewers and subways, and that was really cool to see. And a lot of it is about, Bond is old in this movie, and so talking about how old things still have relevance in today's world. And that was really cool to see a movie really pull off those metaphors well, visually and through dialogue. But also just some stunning action set pieces. Like, I feel like those were a lot of fun, and they really lived up to the Bond spectacle level. And it feels like the way that it should when you see like a true-to-form Hollywood-style movie. It's exciting. You want to eat popcorn while you're watching it. It's a lot of fun. But out of 5 stars, what would you give this one?
I would say 4 out of 5 stars. It was great.
Yeah, I would have to agree. 4 out of 5 stars. I'm not sure if it lives up to Casino Royale, because I loved that one, but definitely a movie worth seeing.
Definitely.
The second out of them was Wreck-It Ralph, which is Disney's new animated feature about a video game character, a bad guy, who is pretty convinced that he can be a good guy and kind of wreaks a lot of havoc in the process of trying to prove that he's a good guy, and unleashes a pretty big conspiracy within the game world, and it's a pretty cool piece from Disney, I have to say. What did you think of this one?
Well, it was really interesting to see a movie about the bad guy.
Yeah.
We don't get that much, and when we do, movies usually do a good job of making us cheer for him. And this one was no different. We fell in love with him from the start. He was in an AA meeting for video games, and it was, for me, I'm a gamer, so that's what I was looking for, how closely they tie into games, and especially in the beginning, not so much in the middle, but in the beginning they did a great job of that, and it was great to see classic characters from games like Pac-Man that we love go into the modern age of video games in this Halo-type universe they had.
Yeah, and it's pretty exciting, you know, seeing those guys on screen and then just being sucked into that world. I think a lot of people who are expecting to see that the whole time, you kind of mentioned it, I think they'll be a little bit disappointed because it doesn't follow the classic video game characters the whole way through.
Yeah.
They serve more as a setup, kind of, you know, introducing people to the world, and then they go into their own story. And I think that's just as valid, but not something that I think everyone was expecting from this movie. But when they do hit the true story, it's true to Disney form, and I think it's the Disney a lot of people have been missing for a while. You know, Ralph, voiced by John C. Reilly, is just a lovable oaf, and Sarah Silverman as Vanellope is adorable. I mean, the voice acting is great, the animation is stunning, and overall, it's a fun movie. It's got some good laughs, it's got some cool set pieces and some cool action, and it's fun that definitely the whole family can enjoy. But out of 5 stars, what would you give this one?
Well, it's definitely a kids movie. I mean, there were kids in the audience quoting it as we were watching it.
Yeah.
But I was going to say a 3 out of 5, but I think you just talked me up to a 4 out of 5 because of the emotional core.
Yeah.
Once the movie got into that narrative, I at times felt myself looking at the screen like, so
yeah, just starting to choke up a little bit.
4 out of 5.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. It's another movie that really just, it makes me excited to see Disney kind of making more movies that hit that emotional core so well and is just fun the whole way through.
Yeah.
So, you know, but definitely both movies very worth seeing in theaters. So, but once again, that's it for Critics on Campus. This segment's brought to you by Carmike Cinemas. I'm Chris Vickery alongside Aaron Barnett. And if Critics on Campus wasn't enough movie for you today, be sure to check out UNCW's Lumina Theater as it's hosting the Ace Blockbuster series as well as Mini Hawk-In, showing the movie Raw 1 and the Marvel Movie Marathon. Be sure to head on to Lumina and check them out. Back to you.
Whether the unemployment rate increases or decreases, painters and photographers could always use the support to rid them of their starving artist nicknames. This Saturday, November 17th, original local fine art will be on sale in the Bernie and Warwick Center. Over 150 artists will showcase their work and keep 100% of the proceeds. Even if you do not intend on purchasing any work, the event is free and a $3 donation can be made at the door to help fund UNCW public arts projects.
The annual Cucalores Film Festival in downtown Wilmington happened all last weekend. Our Logan Spaller was on the scene. Logan?
Filmmakers from across the world gathered this past weekend in order to participate in the 18th annual Cucalores Film Festival. Along with over 200 screenings, the festival also included many special events in order to welcome the guests.
Well, you know, Cucalores celebrates filmmakers, and it's a non-competitive festival, so it's a little different from a lot of other film festivals. We don't give out any awards. There's no red carpet, so the focus is really on creating kind of a relaxed atmosphere where filmmakers can connect with each other and share stories. And it really kind of is a showcase for downtown Wilmington. You know, the historic venues, Thalian Hall and City Stage, are absolutely priceless. And so filmmakers come from all over the world, and downtown Wilmington is transformed for 4 or 5 days into this kind of international community of artists.
I've been coming here pretty much since I moved to Wilmington in like 2003. It's pretty much my favorite time of year, so I'm a big supporter of it, love it. It's so great that we have something like that in Wilmington.
You know what brought me to Wilmington was just the diverse culture and the mix of professionals and film industry people that just love the business so much. And they work as a collective. They work closer with one another. I spent 13 years in Los Angeles, and it's a welcome change. It's beautiful here. The history, the Thalian, is just amazing.
We've been at 10 plus film fests, but Cucalores is a film fest we've always known about and never been to, and so this is our first time here. It's a great program, film program here, and just a really good vibe. I mean, a lot of fellow friends and filmmakers, and Wilmington's a really cool town. And yeah, the events seem really cool. I mean, this is my first day here. This is his second day, but yeah, it's a cool fest.
Well, you know, I'm thrilled to be part of the Cucaloris tradition here. It's been going on for over 14 years in New Hanover County, but it is a testament to the commitment across the state for the filmmaking community across the world, actually. We have lots of international filmmakers who participate every year, and most of the time, several of them will attend the festival itself. Some are here this year, and it's fascinating. They come to Wilmington, they love North Carolina. They think it's a great place to do business for film, and we just celebrate it every year for 5 days.
The Cucaloris Film Festival this past weekend was once again quite the hit, with a variety of events ranging from the Dance-A-Loris and the kickoff party on Thursday night, as well as the midnight brunch on Saturday. I hope you can make it out next year, as it will be their 19th anniversary. Until next time, I'm Logan Spaller, reporting for Seahawk Central News, TLTV.
UNCW students make impacts in local and national communities each and every day. However, junior Kayla Churchill won the 2012 Community Impact Award for her hard work. Churchill serves as a program leader in the UNCW Center for Leadership, Education, and Service. With the CLES, she organizes and implements the annual Angel Tree Christmas Gift Program and chairs the Stop Hunger Now program. Her resume does not stop there. She is the junior class president and a leader in her sorority, Alpha Phi. Churchill is appreciative of the awards, saying, "Oftentimes, students feel apathetic about volunteering because there is no direct incentive in doing so. However, I am proof that people do notice your hard work and dedication." Churchill hopes that her award will be an incentive for more students to volunteer for more community service events.
Stop Hunger Now is a Raleigh-based organization whose mission is to provide food and aid relief for struggling countries. I'm here at the UNCW food packaging event to talk to volunteers about the program.
So I actually did Stop Hunger Now 2 years ago my freshman year, and it was my first time ever hearing about the program, and it was such like an overwhelming, in a good way, experience to see so many volunteers get together and give up their time to help, end hunger.
Actually, we're partnered with St. Paul's Episcopal Church, and they raised $25,000 for us that enabled us to be able to do this project, and their sponsors have already come to us and said that they're really interested in doing it again next year. So that's great. So they provided the funding for us, and we helped provide some of those volunteers. So we had about 400 volunteers sign up to do this project, so all your fellow Seahawks. And for the first shift at 9 o'clock in the morning, we had 150 volunteers show up, which was amazing. And they packaged 75,000 meals in that short period of time. So today our fellow Seahawks will be packaging 100,000 meals for developing countries. So this is kind of what goes into it and what they've been doing throughout the day. So first goes in a concentrated vitamin pack. So each bag gets one of these. Next, you get a 1 full scoop of the soy protein. Then you get 1 full scoop of the vegetables, which is the dried vegetables, which give the product its flavor. And then you do 1 level scoop of the rice. So after all that, you seal it up, and these are our final packages. So each one of these bags serves as 4 meals.
With over 400 volunteers, the UNCW Stop Hunger Now event easily reached their goal of over 100,000 meals. I'm Katie Nemmer to Seahawk Central News, TLTV. Back to you in the studio.
And that brings this episode of Seahawk Central News to a close.
Don't forget, Seahawk Central News airs every day at 5 p.m.
Be sure to stop by tltv.org to catch up on each episode. Until next time, I'm Anna Phillips.
And I'm Trevor Bray, saying so long, Seahawks.